Okay, welcome back. Right, following on from a video I did about foiling the Wildcat cowling, I decided not to pursue that anymore because I can't find any Wildcats anywhere that are bare metal, which I should have known better really, but I just wanted to experiment, see if I could do the cowling, but I've decided to kind of give that one up and just do it as a conventional build and do one of these. I've done one in 32nd scale before, which was okay, but I've never done one this scale before. So I bought this kit. It wasn't expensive at all. It's £20 off eBay. And looking at the kit, I think it's quite doable as this one. Now there are some things to point out. If I do it, by the way, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this box art, the colour scheme like this, because it's quite a nice colour scheme to do. It's quite easy as well. So anybody that knows P51 Mustangs knows that most of it is painted. Even the aluminium coloured looking ones, a lot of them are painted. So the fuselage, apart from the rudder, because this has got a canvas covered rudder, so that doesn't need foiling. All the fuselage does, all that bit. And then you've got the wings. Now the wings are different, because when they built the Mustangs, they were a laminar flow. I don't like repeating this too much because it sounds like geeky, but basically the wing was putted. It wasn't, all the rivets were blended in, all filled in, and then they were painted to give better airflow over the wings. But some of them were left aluminiums, like the aileron, for instance, is aluminium. That needs foiling. Bottom of the wing, you've got this section in the middle here is bare metal. All the rest of it is painted. Then you've got the flaps. The flaps are quite nice actually. You've got to have them down, there's no option for having them anywhere else. And the flaps just plug in there, which is really good. And the flaps are also bare metal. So, and they are quite a nice flap, these. They're not a floppy piece of plastic. They're quite rigid, which is important when you're filing, because if it's too flexible, you'll get creases when you're bending it and manipulating the foil. So that's easy to do. The ailerons are relatively easy to do, and the wing's painted. So what's to go wrong? The only part that's hard to do on a Mustang is this bottom air scoop, because a lot of the front end here, even I could foil that front end no problem anyway. The front chin piece here is difficult to do, but it's painted anyway, it's blue. So most of the front end of it's painted blue, which is good. However, the air scoop underneath isn't, that's just metal. It's all foiled, and that is the most difficult part to do. With this little piece on the front here. Now I'm not sure if I can foil that or not. I did it on the other one, but it wasn't easy, and it was a compromise as well. It wasn't a perfect way of doing it. So when the wing's on there, I don't know if you can fit it at the moment. When the wing's there, you can't see the other side of it too much, so you could create the join on the other side. Then you've got this little piece to fit. Now I think it might be, as long as it all fits well, which it seems to do, I can foil that part and then maybe just paint this little front chin piece. And I know it's not foiling, is it? But it is a compromise. I don't think I can foil that, but you never know, we'll see. So that's the only nightmare bit, and then around the wing roots, this wing root here can be quite tricky. So what you do, you create a join on that line there, and it becomes invisible really, so that's not difficult to do either. And then you've got the front around this leading edge here. That can be a little bit tricky because that isn't painted, that part, so that'll be a little bit tricky. Other than that, piece of cake. So we're going to do that. I'm not going to film building the actual normal part of the build because it's boring, isn't it? Everybody's seen you build a Mustang. I mean, there must be thousands of videos on how to build a Mustang. So I'm going to build a Mustang as per normal, and I'll start filming properly when I start putting the file down, because I think that's what people will probably watch this video for. So I'll get to the point where it's ready to file and I'll come back. Okay, right, the basic structure's built now. I haven't actually put the seat in yet because you can get it in afterwards, and I haven't decided if I'm going to put the pilot in or put seat belts in, whatever, so I can decide on that part later. I've built the wing. I've started experimenting with just a bits of foil in places just to see how it goes. So I will film how to do an aileron. Very easy to do as an aileron. Now this bit isn't, so this is where I've started as an experiment. I've done this on a 32nd scale model before, but on this scale it's actually easier, which is quite good, because the foil's not having to go around such an, I don't know, the shape is the same but it's smaller, so it kind of, I don't know how to describe it, it goes around the curves better some ways. However, it's still difficult to do this part, and this is the hardest part of the whole model, this chin spoiler thing here. So foiling that is difficult. So what I'm doing, the wing fits like so. Typical P51. I don't want to put it on because I've put some glue on there. Fits in there and it does cover some of that plastic underneath there. So what I need to do is just foil in there to get that little piece done there. Then I can cut away the bit I don't need to be there so I can glue it in place. And then I'm going to foil the top half of this piece under there to that panel line there and to that panel line there. At that point I'm going to glue this on, and then I'm going to do this piece, and then you'll see. It's quite tricky, I've got to say. It's not easy to do. A lot of people just wouldn't bother, they'd just paint it, wouldn't they? But I'm trying to just do things that are a bit different. But, so the idea, if the glue's on there, I've done videos, many videos now on how to do glue. I will show the glue on this one because obviously some people may be new to the channel. So I have actually not pre-cut it, but I've made it enough to fit in this space. Okay, that piece is done okay. It's good enough for what I need to do. Some of it will have to be cut away anyway, but I'm going to do that when I've got the rest of the chin cowling done. And I've stuck the nose cone part on here. That needs to dry before, because I need to sand it up a little bit. So in the meantime, I'm going to file this piece here. So initially, we're just going to put that in there like that. Just going to zoom out a bit so you get a better focus. And then it's very important to get a good bond. Any piece of foil you put on, you need to kind of make sure it stays in one place, because it tends to wander about if you don't get a good kind of key. So okay, I'm doing this bottom bit now. I'm going to try and do that panel there if I can, but it didn't work last time, so it probably won't work this time either. I'll give it a go. Okay, I found it. Found the cowl and lost it for a minute. That doesn't need foiling because this whole cowl is painted blue, and it's painted blue front around there, and it kind of curves, does a line there. So I need to file this part. I'm not going to file that chin piece because there's no need to. I need to file just under there, but dead easy to do with that bit anyway. So that doesn't need filing, so I'll worry about that later. So I'll get this bit done, I'll film this bit, and I'll file in some of the tail because some of that's quite tricky, but the rest of it, dead easy. Okay, next job, inside there. So I've made this little piece, and it looks a bit rough, but it's alright. Just need to kind of squeeze that in there. Right, wish me luck. Anyway, I've given it a sand and picked out the lines a little bit. Really happy with that. That's the biggest problem for me out of the way now, so it's plain sailing from here. So yeah, really chuffed with that. I didn't think I could quite get away with that as easily as I did. It wasn't easy, but yeah, very good. Onward. Next one, I think I'll finish off this section here. I'll just film doing that bit and then we'll move on. Okay, we're going to do this bit now. It's got it goes in there. It's quite tricky to do. Well, not tricky, but you've got to be careful with this sort of thing. So this is the way I'm going to approach it. A little bit there. Trying to tidy these areas up here. Might have to put some infill pieces in there. But that's basically the back end done. So next job, I'm going to foil the rest of it. These are bits. I mean, the only bit that might show is doing this bit here, and then part of the tail. So back in a bit. Okay, I'm just going to show you how to foil this tail plane. I know it looks dead simple, does this tail plane, and it relatively is, but the wingtip, the tail plane tip, you can't foil around that because obviously there's curve here, so you can't go that way and that way on a piece of foil. It just won't do it. So what you've got to do is create an invisible join on the end. So I'm just going to show you how to do that. When that bit's done, it's quite easy, but what I'm going to do, I don't want to foil that piece and then do this piece, because you end up with an edge there that becomes quite vulnerable to catching and tearing all the time. So what I will do is do a wrap on that edge there, because there's a seam line just there where the trim tab is, and then there's a panel line. So I'll go around that piece there and bring it around this side, and then I'll fill in the gaps, and I'll do the same on the leading edges as well. So I can go around that edge there and bring it, lap it over there, and then fill in the middle bit. So there's quite a lot of bits to this. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of foil on just that one tail plane. Obviously there's 2 of them, so I'm going to show you how to do this one anyway. So it's quite, obviously I'm going to put the glue on first and I'll be back. Okay, I'm starting on the top, so decide which is the top or the bottom of the tail plane. I'm not going to try and line that line up, I'm not bothered about doing that. So I'll make sure I go over it. So don't cut that to the edge. obviously it's going to create a lot of creasing underneath. I'm not bothered about that, but I'm pressing down quite hard to create a stretch on that end. Now you end up with a bunch of creases all scrunched up, which you can't do anything about because you can't get them out, it's impossible. But we have a way around that. So what we do, you get your knife and then cut it as usual. To the panel line. On a larger plane, on a larger aircraft, you could probably get around that tip, but this is quite a small piece of plastic, isn't it? So you can't. And so that's the top of the wingtip done, but we need to then foil on the top of there, and it's all scrunched up and messy. We don't want that bit there. So what we're going to do, cut away most of it. And then rough sandpaper. And this is why you can't use thin foil. You can't do this to it. It's not got any forgiveness to it, but this stuff does. So that's feathered in that foil to the plastic, and then you get your next grade down. I'm just going to clean that off, I'll be back in a minute. Right, so now we've got a nice piece of foil on the top piece. It's going round the edge there, and it's overlapped there, and I've sanded it back and then sanded it with finer sandpaper and then polished it up a little bit. So it's relatively nice now to put another piece of foil onto that, and I'll show you what I'll do with that. So I'm going to put the glue on. Right, glue's on there and dry, so next piece, just on there like that. Now then, with this, I want to cut following the shape of the actual tailplane. Like so, and then all you have to do give it a good old burnishing now. So now you've got a going to clean the glue off. There we go. That's the I can't remember if that's the top or the bottom now, which is a good thing. That's the bottom. Tiny little evidence of some little bumps there. Could have got that better actually just by sanding it back a little bit more, but I'm happy with that. So there we go. That's the wing tip. You can't see the join on the edges, which is what we're trying to achieve. Such a tiny piece of plastic. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to foil over the fronts, foil over the tail ends and fill it all in. You don't need to see that because it's just dead easy doing it, and I'll finish the tail off. Okay, that's the tail plane fitted. Quite happy with that, it's gone quite well. I ended up wrapping it round on that piece and wrapping it completely around on that piece as well, so I didn't have to do just the leading edges. So it's gone quite nicely. There's not much else I can show on this really. I mean, doing the fin is a very similar process to doing that, and doing this little piece at the front's dead easy. I've already finished, not finished it, but I've filed the bottom of the wing. I've already done that aileron. Just got that aileron to finish there. That chin piece there is exposed metal because that blends into here. I'll just put this on now, give you a bit of perspective. So that's bare metal. I think the gear doors are bare metal as well, but I'm not sure because I've seen some that aren't. Yeah, I've seen like current aircraft where they're painted, but they do vary from Mustang to Mustang. I mean, some Mustangs are just painted all over, especially the modern ones. It's just easier to keep if you just paint them. So a lot of them are painted silver and just lacquered, and they look quite nice actually. But yeah, the ones that are like this, I'm going to do this as a wartime aircraft though, so I'm going to weather it. So it probably won't look as shiny and glitzy as this when it's finished. But yeah, it's getting there now. So I'm just going to finish off all the filing and I'll come back. Okay, some considerable amount of time later, I've now filed it all. So yeah, the tail took a lot of doing in general really. The wing's not fitted, it's just dry fitted, and to be fair, it fits that well. The only place it needs gluing is at front leading edges, just here. So I reckon when I finish painting it, I'm going to just drop some glue in there, and it'll just carve the file out. I'll drop the glue in there, and then it'll fit. So I'm happy with that. I'm just going to get that piece there while I remember it's there. So now it needs painting. I'm sure everybody knows, I mentioned it already. I need to do that aileron as well, I forgot about that. Mustangs aren't painted aren't natural metal all over, they're just parts of the fuselage, and you can see the bits I've done. Everything else is painted silver. I'm told under great authority that this is the best silver for it. Where have I put it? There it is. Tamiya LP11, which is just basically silver, and that's the paint I'm going to use to do the wings and everything else. And it's got a blue nose, which I quite like actually, it looks really smart. So I don't have to file all of the nose because this is all blue, there's no point filing it if you're going to paint it. So the next stage, other than finish the aileron off, I need to do the flaps as well, but I can do those at the end, is to start preparing this, so I have to paint it. As I say, the wing is going to get done off the model and I'll fit it afterwards. So next stage is just masking. Okay, I've put a coat of LP11 on there. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful paint that is. It really goes down well. Recommend that to anybody. I've done the rudder with it. I'm not going to lacquer the rudder, it doesn't need it. I'm just going to leave it as it is. But this needs decals on. It needs there's not much on it really. It's just the stars and stripes on each underside each wing, on top of that wing and then on that one. And then a few little decals on for the fuel tanks and all that sort of stuff. So I'm just going to get those on there and then I'll give it a coat of lacquer. Yeah, a bit of progress made. I've painted the wings appropriate silver and taken the masks off. So it kind of shows the difference between paint and actual metal. And that's why I like doing this, because you can't emulate that with paint. I don't think you can anyway. But the only way to make metal look like metal is make it out of metal. But the P51 Mustang's perfect for this process because it's just you know, it's a nice blend of paint and metal. I don't like them when they're all aluminium really, because well, to be fair, it's quite tedious to do it. I can just about tolerate doing a Mustang fuselage nowadays. And anyway, the next job is to mask off the nose on the. I don't want to fit the wing on here yet because there's lots of paint to go on there. Well, not lots. There's a blue part to go on the front here, and then obviously around the canopy and everything. So I might as well mask that without the wing in the way. So the wing's not done, but it's done enough to be able to put onto the fuselage when the fuselage is finished. Okay, welcome back. Bit of progress. Yeah, wings on, paint's on. I'm starting to tackle it up now. I'm not convinced about this panel line, this paint line here. I'm not sure if I'm going to take it along there a little bit more. I'll see how it goes. I can always do it afterwards. But yeah, it's starting to come on now, isn't it? Let's get the decals on. Okay, I'm not happy with this this blue. I think it's too dark, and I'm not happy with the line that I've created on there. It's too rough and not very nice. So what I'm doing, I'm making a mask, but I'm making it out of plastic. This is a paper mask that I made first that lines up in the place I want it to go. So that's the shape I want it to be. So I now need to make a Tamiya masking tape mask that goes in there, which is difficult to make out of paper. You can't cut around that. So what I then do is transpose that shape onto a piece of plastic card like this, which gives me a hard edge to cut to. So what I'll do now is cut some tape, that shape, and stick it on there, and it'll be the same for both sides obviously. All masked up again. I'll give it another coat. I'm going to give it a slightly lighter blue as well. Okay, I'm much happier with that. The masks work quite nicely, and I'm much happier with that colour, or that shade of blue as well. So I'll move on to the next stage. Okay, progress. All the decals are on as far as I'm concerned. I don't put the little tiny decals on. I think they're annoying and they're just not, but you don't see them in reality. Sometimes I put them on, but in this case I'm not. Undercarriage legs are on the wheels and stuff, and the gear doors. I've painted the gear doors. I decided not to foil those. The discs end up catching all the time, and I think they look alright painted. As I've said, I've seen painted ones, so I'm happy with that. I've chipped a bit of the decal off there, which is annoying. I might paint that in or something, I don't know. Canopy's on. I fitted that with, it fits very well. You just plop it on there, and I just put some glue and glaze into the gaps and wiped it off again, and I framed it with some foil. I use this kind of foil. This is the Rufus style foil that's self-adhesive. You just cut it into strips. It's very good for going around canopy frames and things like that. So that's gone alright. Other than that, it just needs a canopy and a propeller and spinner, and I'm going to call it done. So I'll just get that finished off, and I'll be back. Okay, I'm calling this done. I haven't weathered it much at all, really. I've decided to keep it as a non-weathered aircraft, if you like. It's too pretty to weather up. I think it looks quite nice in a clean sort of way, if you like. So yeah, there's nothing to report really. It's a nice kit. For the price of it, you can't go wrong. I mean, in the UK it costs 20 quid off eBay. I've done all the little bits of twinkly bits there. Flaps are done, everything's done. The undercarriage doors are quite tricky to fit. Other than that, there's nothing about it that's difficult to build at all. It's a lovely little model. I haven't done anything to it outside of what's in the box, so it's just an out-of-the-box build. I haven't even added the seat belts. It's just couldn't be bothered. You have to get some aftermarket ones. I've closed the canopy up anyway, so I'm not that fussed. It was more of an exercise in kind of foil a model of this scale convincingly. I haven't had to use any paint on it at all, so any paint that shouldn't be paint, if you like. So it's all foil. Anything that's foiled is foil. There's no paint on it at all. Made a few mistakes. I had a bit of trouble with the glue actually. Oops. The glue itself. This is the glue that I use, but everybody asks about this. This is a sculpting tool. If anybody asks, this is readily available as a kit off Amazon. It's just a wooden stick you could make your own. But I've used it a lot now, and it's starting to kind of I don't know, it's like any tool, and it kind of hones itself into something just magical. So it's my magic wand. This glue, when you're using it, just point of note, when you're using it, you dip your brush into it, you use it, and then you again. What can happen is, and I've heard somebody else mention this before, you get like, it's a little bit like PVA, or like a rubbery glue if you like, and it bobbles up, and you can end up getting tiny little bobbles of glue inside the glue itself. So eventually what can happen, I mean, that's just half, it's 3/4, 2/3 gone. You get little tiny specks inside the glue and you don't know where they're coming from, and it's the glue itself. That's probably from not being careful with it when I'm using it. So be mindful when you use it. Put your brush in the glue, fair enough. When you get it out, before you put the glue brush back in, make sure it's very clean, because it becomes a pain. And you end up thinking, why isn't this file going down right? It's not as good as it should be, and it's bits in the glue. So I had a bit of trouble with the top of the... I've managed to get most of it out on the top of the elevator, on the tailplane, sorry. I ended up putting it a bit thick on the base, on here, on this bit here, so we're very paranoid about it bonding well, so it's got some lumps and bumps in there, but if you look at a real one, I've seen one in a museum, and it looks like it's been hit with a hammer. It really does, battered. But everywhere else has gone well. You know, the flaps have gone lovely. I mean, they're really nice and shiny. The flaps are beautiful. It's a nice looking model. The aeroplane itself is just beautiful. I think it gives a Spitfire a very good run for its money as regards an aesthetic looking aeroplane. It's beautiful. Particularly in this sort of paint scheme, you know, when it's all shiny and chromy. Other than that, it's all done. The canopy's quite tricky to do, because the canopy glues to the frame. You end up with an inevitable silver line around the... I don't know if I've got rid of most of it. You probably can't see it actually. So you have to paint it black on the bottom face, and then I've stuck it on with... where have I put it? Everything. I use this for every canopy now. I don't use anything other than this now. It's very, very good stuff. It doesn't do any harm. You can get it off, blah blah blah. So yeah, there we go, all done. I'm going to put some... I haven't put the fuel tanks on. I did make them, but I didn't put them on. The drop tanks. The reason I haven't put them on is because I forgot to drill the holes for the mounting points. I could still put them on, but I'm having it as a civilian aircraft anyway, so they don't tend to put fuel tanks on those, so I'm happy with it without them, and I think it looks nicer without them anyway. So yeah, paint, fantastic choice, LP11, perfect silver. I should use that in the future for anything that I paint silver, because it's just great stuff. Decals went on fine. They're a bit thick, but in this case they went alright, because it suited this process. And they're quite a durable decal because they're so thick. So what I'm going to do now, stop waffling on. I'm not sure what I'm going to build next actually, but I've got something on the cards, but we'll see. Still photographs to follow. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and all that sort of stuff.